Children's imagination and the challenge of globalization is not a topic that I'm sure most of you expected to see on the agenda of an after-school meeting. But I coordinated all of the after-school programs in the Los Angeles Unified School District for a number of years, and I am convinced that after-school has a critical role to play in this troubled world we live in. We are in the midst, as you all know, of a global economic crisis of staggering proportions. Just the most obvious problems: that 1 billion of the Earth's inhabitants live in absolute poverty, that sources of cheap and safe energy defy us, that the ecology of the Earth is daily more threatened, that simply trying to provide food has recently caused riots in a number of countries. These are issues that only the most imaginative, thoughtful, and collaborative individuals can possibly solve. And the fact is, these individuals already exist. They are in our schools. They are our children. We need to fully understand the creativity, the curiosity, and the imagination of these children and see how it is being destroyed by the way they are being taught. The American anthropologist E.T. Hall did not mince words when he wrote this, and I saw it on a sign in a community center in Udaipur, India. Instead of turning public education into the robotic treadmills that it is today, I believe if we had followed the ideas of John Dewey and his colleagues in the progressive educational movement over a century ago, the ideas that put the imagination and the experience of children in first place, what has happened today might not have happened. Now, research in the last 30 years into how children learn, how their brains work, not only supports the developmental ideas that Dewey outlined, but it expands the ways we need to look at those ideas. Discoveries in child psychology, psychiatry, neurology, cognitive research, learning, underline the immense capacity of the child's mind in a way that I think even Dewey could not have grasped. And the more we look at it, the more we will see why kids could change the world if we let them. First off, children have a remarkable capacity to want to learn. They are born and they remain, at least until school, filled with curiosity. This curiosity is highly resilient. It withstands all sorts of surroundings. These children live in a country where families subsist on incomes of $1 a day or less. Blue Sky Meadow is a camp in the mountains near Los Angeles where children are disabled, disadvantaged, or under court supervision, and they get to spend a weekend studying science and ecology. I think it's the only one west of the Mississippi like that, offering year-round opportunities of this kind of learning to children. Now, what science shows us, and a lot of what I'm saying is summed up in a book I highly recommend, From Neurons to Neighborhoods, published in 2000 by the National Research Council and the Institute for Medicine, summarizing from a highly authoritative standpoint this important research. From birth to age 5, children rapidly develop foundational capabilities on which subsequent development builds. In addition to their remarkable linguistic and cognitive gains, they exhibit dramatic progress in their emotional, social, regulatory, and moral capacities. All of these critical dimensions of early development are intertwined, as you all know, and each requires focused attention. Now imagine the wonderment of these kids. And yet in our public schools, we are increasingly seeing these inquisitive, curious creatures who yearn to continue learning and yearn to continue to discover, stifled by the school environment and ultimately unable to get to universities. That's the nearly catastrophic situation in public education that we need to focus on in after school, to focus on effective strategies. And here I'm quoting again from that book. Fostering 1, the development of curiosity, self-direction, and persistence in learning situations. 2, the ability to cooperate, demonstrate caring, and resolve conflict with peers. And 3, the capacity to experience the enhanced motivation associated with feeling competent and loved. Love and care are inextricably intertwined with how children learn. From the infant's first interaction with her mom, the learning process begins. The mom's interaction with her child and her feelings, and the child's feelings are inextricably interconnected. And this relationship, this give and take of desires, interests, emotions, responses, is the basis of the child's learning. Neurologists now locate 12 different parts of the brain that are involved in the interaction between the mother and the child. The child's seeking understanding, new understanding, strengthened in a caring environment. From age 0 on, caring enhances learning. It does with us, doesn't it? The socialization process are so important because the relationships between people, between the children and their peers in the community, provide additional enriching experiences for the child's learning and for their development. But as the conveyor belt of math and reading instruction speeds up, and let me make clear, this is a result of federal and state law. It's not what teachers would naturally like to do with kids. As it speeds up, what I'm hearing is that there's less and less time for those elementary teachers to do the socialization process, to work with kid A and kid B and help them understand what caused that conflict and help them resolve it. The time taken for this process, this conflict resolution, would ultimately grow into the teamwork that is so needed.